All right. Well, great. So we're going to get started, everybody. We'd like to invite you to open up the chat box and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom and hello. And hopefully you have your prayer book handy. And Shabbat is going to begin
Shalom.
here at Temple Sinai.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So we're going to get started.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'll ask that you please all make sure you're on mute so we can all sing along without interruptions in the sound. So we're going to start off tonight with a nigun. So that's, you don't need to worry about the words. You can just join me on Lai Lai Lai. Lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai lai As we all now turn in our Siddur, or we'll put up on the page for you, page 4, Matovu, one of our welcoming songs for Shabbat that helps us appreciate the divinity of the space that we're in as we worship together. Normally the sanctuary, tonight our virtual sanctuary here. Please join me in Matovu. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani berochastecha, avo beitecha, eshtachava el heichal kodshecha, be'yiratecha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, dear friends. Shabbat Shalom. So good to be together tonight. Panim el panim, face to face. Tonight, we come together to experience joy and to experience wholeness and peace that is Shabbat. May we enjoy this time to take in and to experience all that's good, all that's holy in the world, around us and within us. During this sacred time and in the holiness of our homes, these sacred spaces that we are creating together every Shabbat, may we let go tonight, may we let go of the fears, let go of the frustrations of the past week as best we can. So we just give ourselves this time to slow down, this time to reflect, this time to enter the peace and the joy of Shabbat. We now greet the Malachei HaShalom, the Shabbat messengers of peace and wholeness. We greet them by singing Shalom Aleichem on page 6, everybody, page 6.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai.
Well, let's now bring in the light and the warmth of Shabbat. We turn to page 9 in our prayer booklet. We are so honored to call upon the Myers family to kindle the lights of this Sabbath. Hello, Myers. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Ed. Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Carrie. Shabbat Shalom.
Ethan is not here with us this evening. He is out working around the corner from your house.
Really? What is he doing? We're intrigued. What type of work is he doing around the corner of our house?
He works at the batting cage.
All right. He's practicing his he's working at a batting cage.
He's working at the Batcade up on Victory Boulevard.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Every night until 9.
All
my
right.
mom's
People are still out there and they are practicing their batting.
You said there's like 100 people there last night.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
I guess it gets busier when it rains.
Which one is right?
Ah, well, we're thinking about him. Please tell him we say hello and Shabbat Shalom. And thank you all for being with us tonight with your beautiful candlesticks and your bright faces, your warm faces. Would you all like to do a little English reading to bring in Shabbat on page 9? There are two choices, or you want to just light the candles. Hannah, what's your preference as an upcoming bat mitzvah? What would you like to do?
Whatever you guys want to do, I'm good with.
Oh, that's thoughtful.
Well, I
You have to do English.
flipped a virtual coin, and we will go ahead and we'll take on the family blessing at the bottom of page 9, if that's okay.
Very nice. You'd like to go for the family blessing. Well, how about this? Cantor's going to sing that one
Okay.
after you light the candles. So if you'd like, what we could do is you could light the beautiful candles, then Cantor will lead us in the blessing over the candles, and then we'll go directly into our family blessing. Does that
I
sound
will
good?
go with that option.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Oh, and Hannah's going to light as a bat mitzvah.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Well, looking at your beautiful family, including your pug family member. Is that a pug or I didn't get it right? That's not a pug, is it?
Frenchie.
French bulldog.
A French bulldog. There we go. Looking at your beautiful family with your French bulldog. Hannah, what's the name of your French bulldog?
Jojo.
Jojo. All right. Well, with all of you and thinking of Ethan and thinking of all our families near and far, let us join in what you have chosen, Ed, what you've chosen to the family. We share together in the family blessing on page 9.
Okay. You want me?
Well, Cantor's going to lead this one, Ed. So Cantor's going to sing, but if you all would join with us.
May God bless you and keep you. May He shine His face upon you and grace you. May He lift His presence unto you and grant you peace. May God bless you and keep you. May she shine her face upon you and grace you. May she lift her presence unto you and grant you peace. And grant you peace.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Jojo.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you all. Thank you all. So I got an email today from Marilyn and Ben Silva, who are joining us tonight. And Marilyn asked me the question in the email. She said, Rabbi, do you remember where we were a year ago today? And she reminded me where we were on March 12th, 2020. Marilyn, Ben, Tina, Susan, a number of other folks who join us for Lunch and Learn. We met, it was right during the time when COVID and they were about to make decisions throughout Los Angeles. And we met and we sort of did a different discussion for Lunch and Learn. We talked about what should Temple Sinai do? What would be the ethical and moral and Jewish thing for us to do right now when everything was sort of new and California had not yet announced stay-at-home orders, which would take place on March 19th, a week later. And that's where Marilyn and Ben and Susan and Tina and I were, and some other folks. We wonder where you were a year ago today. I thought just in recognition of this very strange anniversary, if we turn to page 10, and Jason, if we can put this up on the screen, this is a beautiful poem by a woman named Lynn Unger, and it's called Pandemic, and it certainly still applies, even as we hopefully are turning a corner as a country and as a world with the vaccines that have been rolling out. And here's what Lynn Unger has to say about this. And she composed this, by the way, on March 11th, 2020. March 11th, 2020, a day ago, a year ago, and a day ago. What if you thought of it? this pandemic as the Jews considered the Sabbath, the most sacred of times. Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. Could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. We now reach out our hearts, we reach out our words to the source of our connection with all the world and with all that lives. That's expressed in the affirmation of our faith, the Shema, on page 14.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
We now turn to page 15 in our prayer booklet, and to lead us in the Ve'ahavta, we are so delighted to call upon Lily Marks. There she is. Shabbat Shalom, Lily.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Hey, like your room, like what
Thank
you've
you.
done with it.
Thank you.
That tells a story. How long has it looked like that?
It's collected probably since quarantine started.
Okay.
Not much up on my walls before then.
So this is your artistic collection. You're so artistic, and what a beautiful room you've created. For those of you who may not know, Lily is an 11th grader. She is a junior in La Crescenta in the high school. And Lily, we'd be so honored to have you lead us in the Ve'ahavta on page 15.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך ביתך ופלגתך בדרך, ושוכבך וקומך, ושרתם מאוד על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Wonderful, Lily. Yashar Kochech. That was wonderful. Kol hakavod, way to go. You still got it. It's been less than a year since your confirmation, right? Was it last May?
Yeah, last May.
Yeah, and you still got it. You sound fantastic. Thank you for leading us tonight, Lily. So great to see you. Thanks. Shabbat Shalom. Well, in looking at my temple calendar here on the wall, I see that tomorrow night is the first day of the Jewish month of Nisan. And that means in about 2 weeks, it is Passover time. But it is always Passover time in Jewish worship. And we turn now to page 16 for the song, our song of Passover, our song of redemption, the Micha Mocha. Please join us. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you for that beautiful Micha Mocha. Well, with Passover just a little over 2 weeks away, we thought it might be a great idea to prepare. Some of you may be pulling out some Passover recipes and thinking about what you're going to be cooking for your Seder. And we're preparing for our community Passover Seder through Zoom this month as well at the end of the month. And we thought, well, let's look at some teachings to help us spiritually prepare and intellectually prepare for Passover. So we've got two Passover gems for you tonight. And when I say gems, I like to use that word for these discussions we have together. These are real gems. I mean, these are, I don't know what the carrots are, but these are serious Passover gems that we're sharing tonight, 2 of them. And Jason has put in the PDF file. And he's going to put that in. There it is. And we're also going to share the screen so you can see it on your screen if you're having a hard time pulling up that PDF file. So let's see, Jason, when you get a chance, if we can, there we go. And by the way, if it looks really tiny on your screen, what you can do is you can obviously make the window to fill your whole computer screen, and then you can pull on the 2 little parallel white lines between myself and the page, and you pull on those and make me very small and make the other side very big, and that will get you the page as large as possible. So we've got a picture of a family gathered around their Seder table, and I don't know if we can do that this year. If you have your vaccine, sounds like the CDC says we can do a little bit of that if people in the family have the vaccine already. And we've got two major teachings tonight. One is relatively recent, just a few years old, and the other one is from the late 1700s, both equally powerful. The first one, you will notice, is by none other than Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of blessed memory, assisted by Rabbi Lauren Holtzblatt. And so I'd like to invite somebody to please read what Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg wrote back in 2016. She was writing about Passover and women's role, the major role of women in the Passover story. And she was writing for the American Jewish World Service. You may be familiar with that organization, an international organization that does social justice work throughout the world. And she wrote it for American Jewish World Service. And we'd like to have one of you read their words right now. So could somebody please raise your hand? And I see Maggie's hand. Maggie, you have supported American Jewish World Service. We've done that for High Holy Days. We'd be honored to have you read.
On Passover, Jews are commanded to tell the story of the Exodus and to see ourselves as having lived through that story so that we may better learn how to live our lives today. The stories we tell our children shape what they believe to be possible, which is why at Passover we must tell the stories of the women who played a crucial role in the Exodus narrative.
Thank you, Maggie. Maggie, can we share it with your fellow social action maven? I see Ruth Jacobson would like to read. So Ruth, if you could read the second paragraph, Maggie, if you'll take the third, because that's got those hard Hebrew names, and then Ruth, if you'll take the fourth.
Well, thank you. That's nice. Sure. I like that intro. Thank you, Rabbi. These women had a vision leading out of the darkness shrouding their world. They were women of action, prepared to defy authority to make their vision a reality, bathed in the light of the day.
Retelling the heroic stories of Yocheved, Shifra, Puah, Miriam, and Batya reminds our daughters that with vision and the courage to act, they can carry forward the tradition those intrepid women launched.
While there is much light in today's world, there remains in our universe disheartening darkness, inhumanity spawned by ignorance and hate. The Passover story recalls to all of us, women and men, that with vision and action we can join hands with others of like mind, kindling lights along paths leading out of the terrifying darkness.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Maggie. So such powerful words by Justice Ginsburg and Rabbi Holtzblatt. So just to unpack this a little bit, because they said a lot, I just want to go to that first paragraph and let's hit a couple of the highlights. And I'd like you to, again, if you don't have your chat box open, please open it up because I want to ask you some questions. So in that first paragraph, a really insightful comment. The stories we tell our children shape what they believe to be possible. The stories that we tell our children shape what they believe to be possible, which is why at Passover we must tell the stories of the women who played a crucial role in the Exodus narrative. I am wondering, what stories have you told your children or your grandchildren that you want to help shape what they believe about the world? What stories have you told your children, your grandchildren? What stories have you told students if you're teachers? What stories have you told friends to help us shape our world? And I'll give you an example if you're wondering what I might be thinking about. When we tell our children, at times we may tell our children or grandchildren, you can do anything in this world that you set your mind to do. And if you work hard enough, there's a good chance it could come to fruition, something like that. Or on a Jewish standpoint, we tell our children in religious school that in Judaism, we are God's partners to help make this world better. God needs us. We are the arms and the hands of God to make this world a better place, tikkun olam. That's the story we tell our children to shape what they believe is possible. So I wonder if you're comfortable putting in the chat box a story, an advice, piece of advice that you've given your children, grandchildren, co-workers, students to help shape their world positively. Don't be shy. It doesn't have to be Nobel Prize winning. It just has to be something from the heart. Does anybody like to share? Carol Cornell, our current chair and our wonderful chair of social action in our caring community. Carol, what do you like to tell your children and your grandchildren to shape their world? Oh, Carol, you need to unmute there. I'll ask you to unmute.
Sorry about that. Believe in yourself. And when they make mistakes, I say, everybody makes mistakes. It happens and we still love you.
Believe in yourself, and everybody makes mistakes. We still love you. Yes. Believe in yourself. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to say the same thing to boys as to girls.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. These are lessons for all genders, for all genders and all people, all identification of genders. Kim Selfon, I tell our children stories about how a small act can greatly change someone's life. Yes, a small act can really change the trajectory, can transform somebody's life. And we never know the small impact that we might have on somebody that may change the course of their life. We're all can play that role. Yeah, other things that we, and Ruth saying the Seder plate, what we talk about at every Pesach, everyone is creative. Manage things within your control so that you have time to deal with things that are not within your control. Very good wisdom, yes. To recognize what we can control and change and transform, and to take ownership and responsibility for that, because there are plenty of things that we cannot control. Carolyn Mormuso, our director of education, I told my kids the stories of how resourceful their grandparents and great-grandparents are in overcoming difficulties and challenges. Yes. Stories of inspiration of how other people have overcome challenges. Yeah, I think our kids love to hear that. Even at Cantor, Alyssa, even if you're under a lot of stress or pressure, remember the same force is what creates diamonds. How lovely. Pressure can create diamonds. The force of pressure turning that rock into diamond. Arlene and Dan Golden, two educators, two PhD professors in literature, I like to say. You know, I say that out of great envy as well as great appreciation and inspiration. Because I was a lit major just in my bachelor's degree. They said, we pass on the wisdom of Arlene's dad, who always ended his phone calls with, be kind to each other. Yes, be kind to each other. Something so powerful, an act of kindness. It reminds me of Abraham Joshua Heschel, who once famously said, when I was younger, I admired people who were clever. Now that I'm more mature and I've gained wisdom, I know to admire people who are kind. Absolutely. Absolutely. To be kind. Zach and Jocelyn. Zach, our current chair of our Racial Justice Committee. And Jocelyn. I tell my kids it's not good enough to be a good person. You have to be a person of purpose and action. Very nice. I like that distinction that you're making, Zach. And it reminds me of what Justice Ginsburg and Rabbi Holtzblatt said, to have vision and the courage to act. Right? We need to translate that goodness in that vision into action. Absolutely. And Zach is doing that, and he's teaching us to do it as well for racial justice, to act for racial justice. So absolutely. You know, I just want to mention too about the women that were mentioned, Yocheved. So type in, who was Yocheved? Type in who knows what Yocheved was in the Bible. Heather Halpern, keep focus on the small steps in front of you so you won't have to get overwhelmed by the too large journey you may have embarked upon. Recognize the small steps in front of you, not the big journey ahead. Yes, thank you, Heather. So wise. Reminds me of that, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Yes, very much so. And we are on a journey. That is what Jewish tradition teaches us, and we've heard that. That's a metaphor for life. We are on a journey. We are perfectly imperfect. I love it, Valerie. We are perfectly imperfect. I love that. Perfection's overrated, and it doesn't exist. Everything can be improved on. I tell kids, we are not looking for perfection because everything can be improved upon, but I like we are perfectly imperfect, and we can always grow and develop and be great and do great things. Cantor, Moses' mother, yes, was named Yocheved. And Elizabeth said the same thing, Moses' mom. So Yocheved, a harder one. Who were Shifra and Puah? I'm putting them together because they acted as a team for vision and courage to act, Zach. Talk about vision and courage to act. Shifra and Puah, what did they do in the story? It's in the beginning of the book of Exodus. The midwives in Egypt who defied Pharaoh's order. Pharaoh said to them, when the Hebrew women deliver baby boys, destroy those boys immediately. And they would not follow his orders. It was in some ways the first act of civil disobedience recorded in a religious text. They had the courage to act. Shifra and Puah. Miriam, who was Miriam? Yes, and thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth, for bringing up what was in the movie, The Ten Commandments. We're going to talk about that. That's where I got most of my knowledge of the Passover story. And Moses in the Exodus was in Cecil B. DeMille's movie. Yochebed. Okay, they called her Yochebed. There we go. Yeah, Yocheved's the Hebrew, Yochebed. We're going to see that with Moses' adopted mom, also in Cecil B. DeMille's. So let us know, what was her name, Ruth? What was the name of Moses' adopted mother in Cecil B. DeMille's Ten Commandments? Yeah, Miriam was Moses' sister, of course. Without Miriam, there is no Exodus. She made sure that Pharaoh's daughter found baby Moses going down the Nile, and she found a nurse for Pharaoh's daughter, for the young baby, the infant Moses, who happened to be her mother, her and Moses' mother, Yocheved. So without Miriam, there is no Exodus. Without Yocheved, there is no Exodus. Without Shifra and Puah, there is no Exodus. There is no Moses. There is no redemption. And last but not least, Batya, Bithia, Philip said. Cecil B. DeMille's movie, remember? Charlton Heston talks to Bithia, which is the anglicized version of Batya, which is the name of Pharaoh's daughter, Moses' adopted mother. And we don't know her name. She's not mentioned in the Torah, but the rabbis of the Talmud, in an exquisite midrash, give her the name Batya, daughter of God. Batya. I crack up every time I think about that. Without Pharaoh's own daughter, Moses' adopted mother, there would be no redemption. Pharaoh's own daughter, she deserves the name Batya, as anybody on the earth deserves that name, daughter of God. Bithia in the movie Cecil B. in the anglicized version. Well, so there's a lot there. I encourage you to look over what Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Rabbi Lauren Holtzblatt have provided for us. It's a beautiful teaching to make our Passover all the more special this year, and to continue to tell stories to our children that will help them know what is possible in this world. What a gift that teaching is. Now, one of my favorite stories in all of interpretations and teachings of Passover comes from none other than Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, and he had an interpretation of what I like to say is the heart of the Passover story, the Passover Haggadah. You guys know it well. Cantor's going to sing it, B'chol Dor Vador. She's going to sing it during our Passover Seder, not necessarily tonight. And you know this line from the Passover Seder, B'chol Dor Vador. In each generation, everyone must think of himself or herself as having personally left Egypt, as it is said in Exodus, and you shall explain to your child on that day, it is because of what the Eternal did for me when I went free from Egypt. That from the Talmud and the Mishnah in the Talmud Pesachim. So from this teaching from the Haggadah, in every generation, we need to see ourselves as leaving Egypt. The story is our story. Shneur Zalman takes it one step further. It's not just for Passover. It's for more than the day of the 15th of Nisan. It's for more than Passover. This story of our people, our master story, our foundational story. And Shneur Zalman of Liadi was the founder of Chabad Judaism. So if you have any Chabad friends, know that Shneur Zalman is the founder of that version of Judaism, of Hasidic Judaism. I am not a Chabadnik by any means, but I could become one based on this teaching. It is that powerful. Who would like to read what Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi said about Bechol Dor Vador? Any takers? Any takers? Did Batya leave Egypt with the Israelites? Yes, she did. According to Jewish tradition, she did. She was at Mount Sinai. She heard God's voice. She entered into the covenant at Mount Sinai. Yes, Moses' adopted mother did indeed. And she did in the movie. And by the way, I keep saying I learned so much from the movie. Look at the end of the credits of Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments. There is one scholar after another that was consulted for that movie. Just like the current version, the animated version of Prince of Egypt, if you look at those credits, one scholar after another consulted for the movie, and certainly for the original, it was one Jewish scholar, one Christian scholar after another. They got it right. They got it right in both movies. Kathy Converse would like to read. Kathy, we'd be honored to have you read Rabbi Shneur Zalman. I keep saying Shneur, but it's actually pronounced Shneur Zalman of Liadi from Belarus, from formerly Russia. You there, Kathy? Oh, I think you need to unmute, Kathy. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
How's that?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Are we reading 2 or 1?
2, please. In every generation.
In every generation, on every day, a person ought to see themselves as though they are leaving Egypt that very day. And the meaning of this is the freeing of the divine soul from the limitation of the body. In order to experience yourself, dissolve into the unity, the divine light of God through Torah, mitzvot, and particularly through the mitzvah of taking on the yoke of heaven experienced during the recitation of the Shema. Okay, there we go. Because through this, one experiences God's unity, and this is the essence of Yetzat Mitzrayim. Therefore, we recount the story of the Exodus at the same time as we recite the Shema, because they are the same. Our
Thank you,
Shneur,
Kathy.
thank you, Rabbi.
Thank
Great
you so much.
passage.
Yeah, it's very powerful. So let me unpack this. It sounds esoteric, but it's not. And I think what Rabbi Shneur Zalman is saying has implications. And we can relate to what he's saying, and we can relate to those implications. In every generation and on every day of our lives, we are to see ourselves as leaving Egypt. Yetziat Mitzrayim means to leave, to depart from Egypt. Every day we need to see ourselves leaving Egypt. Now, what does that mean? For Passover, it makes sense, but what does it mean for the other 364 days of the year? And when I say Passover, I mean Passover, a 7-day festival, or 8-day festival. What does it mean for us to be leaving Egypt every day of our lives? And what Shneur Zalman said is we ought to see ourselves, meaning freeing our divine soul from the limitation of the body. Freeing our divine soul from the limitation of the body. That's the freedom. That's the liberation that we are to achieve every day of our lives. Freeing the divine soul from the body. Now that sounds really esoteric, and that might turn you off by thinking, oh wait, there's a division between the body and the soul, and what does that mean? I don't want my soul to leave my body. It sounds like, you know, what happens when one passes. But he means something quite different from that. What he means is that we need to transcend our bodily impulses. We need to transcend those yearnings that we have that may be destructive to us. We need to transcend. We'll go back to some of those things that we said before, that Ruth Bader Ginsburg said before. We need to transcend our own darkness. We need to transcend the ignorance and the hate that might dwell within us on any given day, depending on what happens to us. We need to free ourselves from the things that keep us in bondage. And the word Mitzrayim is based on a Hebrew word, Meitzar. Meitzar means a narrow place, a place of oppression, a place of sorrow, a place of distress. It also could be the word for tzara, or tzara. Tzara, tsuris, right? Tsuris in Yiddish, trouble, misfortune, affliction, suffering. We need to free ourselves from affliction. We need to free ourselves from suffering each day. We need to free ourselves from trouble each day. So how about this? Instead of saying we need to free our soul from our body, how about we use that as a formula? And here's the implication. We need to free X from Y. We need to each day free X from Y. What do we need to free? Maybe one day we need to free our hearts from hate. We need to free our mind from despair. We need to free our spirit from hopelessness. Do you see where I'm going with this? What Shneur Zalman is saying is that every day there are going to be things that constrict us, that bring us into a spiritual Egypt. Meitzar, Tzara. Our possibilities are narrowed, going back to what Justice Ginsburg was saying. It's narrowed, and we need to open it up. We need to open up our heart. We need to open up our mind. We need to open up our soul, our spirit. We need to transcend whatever is constricting us and keeping us narrow on any given day of our lives. And that is what the Passover story comes to teach us. That is what B'chol Dor Vador is coming to teach us. On each and every day of our lives, we need to see ourselves having the potential to leave whatever spiritual Egypt we have created for ourselves, whether it's in a relationship that is in conflict, whether it's in, like I say, despair, hopelessness, something in our heart, something in our mind, something in our relationships that has been narrowed, that we can free and liberate. And that is why I love this teaching by Shneur Zalman of Liadi. And that is why he's also suggesting that I said every day is Passover in Jewish prayer, because the Micha Mocha that we sing after the Shema during each and every worship service, whether it's Orthodox, Reform, Conservative, whatever, there is always the Micha Mocha after the Shema in a worship service. And that is to teach us that freedom is meant to be each and every day of our lives in different levels. Any thoughts about that? Any comments about that? Thank you, Jill. Shneur Zalman, it's his teaching. I'm just sort of extending it out a little bit. It's Shneur Zalman, the founder of Chabad. So 2 gems, 2 Passover gems that we hope can infuse your Passover with a greater sense of joy and a greater sense of freedom and what is possible in this world. Thank you all. Thank you all for participating. And let us continue in our service. Let us continue.
So we're going to continue with one that I haven't done in a while, but Shelter Ufros Aleinu, which is taken from an excerpt of Hashkivenu, a prayer at nighttime for shelter, for protection, peace. We'll put the words up on the screen for you. Feel free to sing along. grant us peace of mind, all worries far behind. Shelter us. Ufras aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufras aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Please guard this night of rest. Let it be one that's blessed. Shelter us. Let us lie down in peace. Let pain and violence cease. Shelter us. Ufras aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufras aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Amidst uncertainty, we need security. Please shelter us.
Thank you, Cantor, for your beautiful melody that you composed, those beautiful words of the Hashkivenu. So we're going to take a few moments now for our very own personal and silent prayer. And in the spirit of Passover and of the gems that we shared together, may our personal prayer, may our prayer lead us to free and liberate our hearts, our souls from all the limitations that we find throughout our lives. May we develop insights during our prayer and meditation to insights to free us from the limitations of our lives in order, in the words of Shneur Zalman, to experience ourselves dissolve into the unity of the divine light. And through Judaism, in that spirit, we each connect with our own words and prayers. Silent prayer.
Hopefully by now you've all had a moment to conclude your personal meditations. And if not, feel free to keep going with that. We're going to continue with Shalom Rav, an evening prayer for peace. And this particular version is one that we've done here before. It's been a little while. written by a couple of friends of mine, Josh Goldberg and Rebecca Mursky. Very talented composers and very wonderful Jewish musicians. This song is kind of intended as a round. So we'll have the Hebrew in front of you in case you want to do the Hebrew verse, but there are some English ones as well. It's just going to be those first two lines. Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. And then it's grant us peace all over the earth and bless us in every season, bless us in every moment. So I would encourage you to just whichever verse most speaks to you, you can keep repeating it, or you can do the same ones I'm doing, whichever you prefer. But keep in mind that you don't have to be singing the same thing as me. If you decide to move with one of the other ones, that's perfectly fine. And someday soon, maybe we'll get to sing this together in a round. But for now, feel free to join me. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Grant us peace all over the earth. Grant us peace all over the earth. Bless us in every season. Bless us in every moment. Bless us in every season. Bless us in every moment. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Grant us peace all over the earth. Grant us peace all over the earth. Bless us in every season. Bless us in every moment. Bless us in every season. Bless us in every moment.
Thank you, Cantor. What a beautiful Shalom Rav. Thank you for sharing that with us and bringing that to us. Well, we always open our hearts during our worship to others. And we open our hearts now to those who are in need of healing, are in need of God's healing presence, the healing of doctors and nurses, all those who are God's hands and God's arms in this world to bring healing, physical healing to those in need. Let's join together in our Misha Berach prayer of healing. Page 22.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
At this time, we invite you to list the name of someone who you're thinking about who's in need of healing of body, healing of spirit. If you'll please put their name in the chat box. Our prayer of healing is for them. Our love is for them. We're thinking of all of them listed in the chat box and also all the folks listed on our Misha Beirach page. Our prayer of healing, the Shabbat, is for all of these temple members who are in need of healing. And I'm thinking in particular tonight of Marion Parnes, our good friend Marion, who's in the hospital. May she be healed. May every temple member in need of healing be healed. We're thinking of all of these family members who are in need of healing. We're thinking of all of these friends and coworkers who are in need of healing of body and a healing of spirit, and all those listed in the chat box as we now continue our prayer of healing together.
Misha Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We pray that they are all healed. Well, as you know, our Jewish worship is never complete until we think of those people who we've loved and who've passed away, our family members who have died, our friends who have passed, members of our community, members of every race and nation who are a blessing to humanity. We think of them now, we honor them through our memory and through our prayer. As I mention the name of a loved one who has passed, I invite you to please stand, and in just a moment, we'll all stand together to recite the Kaddish prayer. This Shabbat, we remember Fred Michaels. We remember our dear friend, temple member, sisterhood president, helper of so many committees here at Temple Sinai, member of so many committees, member of our board, person who greeted many of our families as they were coming B'nai Mitzvah and helped the children and the parents through the process of becoming B'nai Mitzvah. We think of our dear friend who was laid to rest this past yesterday. We think of our dear friend Linda Luna. And we remember J. Lee Crane. We remember Dr. C. Harold Cohn, Barbara Abraham, and Ernestine Erkin. We remember Earl Sanders. We remember Larry Moskowitz. We remember our dear friend Rebecca Kaufman and Howard Schwartz, Richard Abraham, David Bernstein, Stephen Strauss. We remember Donald Allen Pocock, Susan Goldsmith, Cecilia Carpenter, and we remember Alan Loybin. And for those who are observing Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one that is commemorated this week, we remember Roy Nan and Gertrude Bennett, Martin Pick. Remember Abraham Edelman and Susan Friedman. We remember Jonathan Freed. We remember Aaron Jacobson and Patricia Jacobson and Joseph Korn and Craig Lawrenson. We remember Andy Roman and Sidney Rosen, Samantha Sullivan, Marilyn Evendorf. We remember Mervyn Selfon, Clara Schwartz, Esther Winkelstein, Marion Sochat, Sylvia Schachter, Joseph Baker, Jack Margolin, Antoinette Sheldon, Rose Stoller, and all those we've lost to COVID-19 this past year. And we invite you at this time to also mention a name in the chat box, somebody who has passed that you are thinking of tonight. Our Kaddish prayer is also for them. For all of them, we now stand together as a community of family and friends. We thank God that they were all with us as together we pray. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divarach chilute v'amlich malchute. V'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chaye duchol Beit Yisrael. V'agalau v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei d'kudesha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen. And please be seated, everybody.
As we normally do, we'd like to take this moment to dedicate again to prayers of peace, Oseh Shalom, that we had concluding our Kaddish. So we'll put the words up on the screen for you again. Please join me with Oseh Shalom as we pray together for peace. Oseh Shalom, Shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen. Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael,
We are now honored to call upon a temple board officer who also happens to be the chair of our Racial Justice Committee. We're honored to call upon Zach Gershon. Hi, Zach. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, announcements from the board. Yeah, we'd like to thank all of tonight's participants, the Myers family for candle lighting, with special thanks to Jojo the dog, is it? Yeah, Lily Marks for leading the Be'ahafta. The virtual Oneg tonight is sponsored by Jan and Maggie Freed in memory of Jan's cousin, Jonathan Freed. Coming up at the temple this week, we've got the Minyan and Torah study meeting tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Rabbi's Journey Through the Bible class, Sunday at 11 a.m. And yes, believe it or not, Passover, it's here. So order your delicious sisterhood haroset no later than Wednesday. Wednesday's your deadline. And you can find out all the details on everything I just said in Sunday's TSG email blast. Thank you on behalf of the board. And thank you, Rabbi and Cantor, for the beautiful service tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jocelyn. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being with us. We want to thank everybody for being with us. And just to underscore one of the upcoming programs that Zach mentioned, our Journey Through the Bible continues this Sunday, as Zach said, at 11 o'clock. We are looking at stories of the young King Solomon who attains wisdom, and we are going to study this Sunday an amazing prayer, talking about prayers that offer insight and transformation and transcendence. King Solomon has a dream and a prayer in his dream, and it is quite remarkable. We all have something to learn from it, as well as other things in the journey we'll be taking this Sunday at 11. So please join us for that. And all the things going on here at Temple Sinai. And please join us for Kiddush, our closing song, and our virtual Oneg.
I also do want to give a plug about that, about the Nashim Learn Sisterhood's doing, because I'm joining with that, and it should be a lot of fun. Some teachings, a little bit of learning about some of the food customs and practices of keeping Passover. So make sure you mark your calendar for that one on the 21st.
The 21st, Sunday, March 21st. At what time, Cantor?
At 6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. Wonderful.
Yes. So an evening program, an evening with me, and we'll do a couple songs, and we'll learn about Keep Me Out and some of the other interesting things about food practices for keeping Passover. So if you'll all take a moment now, grab your Kiddush cup, and please join, and we'll make a short Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen l'chaim. And for our closing song, if you're following along in the Siddur, we're on page 26. We're going to conclude with Adon Olam. The melody we're going to use here tonight is what's called the French Sephardic melody. There are so many melodies for Adon Olam. It fits to almost anything, but hopefully this one will start to sound familiar for you. Please join me. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Yivrach Li'eit Nasa V'chavtzo Kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra Azai Melech Shmo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado yimloch nora, vehu haya, vehu hoveh, vehu yihyeh b'tifara, vehu yihyeh b'tifara, vehu echad v'ein sheni, v'hamshilo le'achbira, v'li reishit, v'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra, v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra, v'hu eli v'chai go'ali, v'tzur chavli v'eitzara, v'hu nisi umanos li, v'nat kosi v'yom ekra, v'nat kosi v'yom ekra, v'yado apiruchi, v'eiti shan v'a'ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira, Adonai li v'lo ira. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's unmute and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Bye. Hi, Jen.